Okay, so let's start doing this. Before I start, my keyboard might sound a little loud since the mic is closed, so sorry about that. Okay, so today I want to set up the back end depending on how time goes. It's 10:36 now. Depending on how time goes, I might do the front end setup as well. Okay, so like I mentioned in the previous video, well, in case you were not there, we have two files here now. We have a readme.md. MD is for markdown. So this looks funny, but if we get the preview, this way actually looks like on the website. So it's a way of formatting your text. If I had another hash, I think that makes it a smaller heading, even a smaller heading. So you have like headings of various titles. This kind of what WhatsApp uses as well. I think you want to do italics as 2 underscores. So that's bold. So italics here is rather 2 stars. That's also bold. Oh, so it's 1, that's italic. Whatever it is, yes, markdown. So that usually gives us the information about what the app does. So if we check out the GitHub page right now, that's like the front page. So this is the readme.md. So let's add a little information there to say what it is. So this is the title of the app or the repo. That has to be there. So this this is the backend for the school management system name to be decided. We will be using we do a list in Markdown. Okay, that's how. And I think URLs. There's a square with the name of the thing. So express, and you put the URL here. So that gives you a link. So express.js. Then express.js. MongoDB. MongoDB.com. And let me just copy all of them correctly. So we've been Express, we're using MongoDB. Those will be using Mongoose. So we use Express. That'll be a web framework to handle requests and all that, to send the information back. We're using MongoDB as our database via Mongo Atlas, but do we need to add that? Not really. We'll be hosting on Heroku. We're using Mongoose to deal with the database. We're using Joy for data validation. Trying to get as many of the things that we use down as possible in the README. Obviously Node.js, probably version 12. Well, that's it. We can always update the README later. So we're using copy, we're using Node. So let's put Node up front. Node.js. Anybody wondering what that is? That's a clipboard manager. So I can copy stuff and refer to them later. Joy. Right, and there was Mongoose. Mongoose. I didn't copy that one. Okay. The second will be a. So this will also be. I'm trying to add links, so those who want to read can just follow. JWT REST API. REST API has to do yourself, but basically, when you hit a website, the JWT data, I explain what the JWT is. Yeah, that's no problem. Explain it. So we explain like yeah, this should do. But basically, usually when you sign into sites, you have like your username and your password, right? So when we wouldn't want to be sending your username and password each time you do something on the site. So you say, okay, random site, this is my username and password. The site checks, then it gives you a JWT token, which is encrypted with some secrets. So whenever you want to do anything, you send the token back. So far as you have that token, the site knows, okay, yeah, this is whoever it is, because the site knows who the token was provided to. So yeah, that's what a JWT token is. So that's what we'll be using for authentication. And I was talking about REST API. Let's see, I think Spotify should use a REST API. So usually when you hit a website, let me refresh this and say all. See, the link is /featured. We don't want everything. So it returns you an HTML file, like this is the response, and then the browser decides what to do with it. But REST API is similar. You hit the URL, but it returns you data instead. So let's see, I think if we search, it should give us one. So what should I search for? Travis. So see, there's a link here where it's like, if you look at the URL, it's API version 1 search type. What that Travis actually typed? Yeah, Q Travis. So Travis would start. That's basically like Travis, and then so it returns the data for what I typed, and it's that data that they decide to render. So we'll have this how our backend will be as well. So when you hit a page, it will make a request, get some data back. So let's say you've signed in as a parent, the token will go along. Let me check the headers. Yep, so you see authorization. So this is my JWT token from Spotify. Let's see if we can decode it. So because Spotify gives it to me, if I change it, they will know since they have decoded it. Oh, did I copy something wrongly? Yeah, maybe it's encrypted, that's why I can say. Or basically, yeah, some token might not even be a JWT, but there's that token, and then Spotify will decode it, and yeah, basically that's it. Know who I am, what I'm requesting, blah 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 blah. Okay, so that's what we'll be using as well with the API. So that's what I mean by REST API. You can Google it some more. So I don't need to explain JWT anymore. I think for now that is it. This makes sense. We can update it as we are going along. So as I mentioned earlier as well, I didn't want to. Currently, I'm on the master branch. We don't want to push code directly to the master branch. So let me create a new branch to work on. So the command to create a new branch is git checkout -b to create a branch. And I like to, if it's a feature, I want to start with feature / if it's a bug fix / like, so you know what it is. So this is feature. I've already done initialization. That's actually what I was going to use. Okay, so setup. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so now I'm on a new branch, so the master can stay safe. If I do something wrong, the master is always there. So now you can see from our git get, sorry for that, get thing, we have one change, which is readme. It shows you the diff. So this is what it used to be, and this is what it is now. Should probably, yeah, I think it's fine. So now let's make a commit. I usually do it from the app, the text editor, but let me do it from here to show you what it's like as well. So we have one file. We can do get add dots, which are stages. That's the term. Stages all the files to be committed. There's a specific. So if you have multiple files, you can just keep adding the name. But this time I have only one. So we stage that one, and we commit it with a message. The message should be descriptive and say what you just did. So updated readme. Okay, so now I see this. Now there's the actual change, so there's no changes to see. Cool. So our next thing we are going to do is install our dependencies. I like to use yarn to install my dependencies. For Node, you can use npm or yarn. I like using yarn because it caches stuff better. So if I'm installing something I've installed already, it kind of installs a bit faster. So like the dependencies I mentioned earlier, we'll be using an Express server. So I just install the dependencies as we go. So I know for Express, we definitely need to install Express. Do we need to install body parser nowadays? I think so. So don't need to remember everything. Body parser. Okay. If it's 2019 and it's still being updated. Let's check the Express site to be sure. Blah, 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 blah. So you don't need a body parser. Yeah, this is very basic. Sure. Let's do the basics. So let's do the hello world tutorial. You have to type everything. Yeah, developers, not typists. So sorry, I forgot to add Express. So definitely need Express. Let's add that, and we can add the rest of the things. So you see, it says no log file found. I hate when it does this. Yarn cache name. I like it because of the cache. Now it's giving me a problem because of the cache. So a log file is kind of used to keep track of the versions of stuff, so we don't install like conflicting versions. So yeah, you can read more about that. So now I have two files, the log file that it's referred to, nobody cares about that, and the package.json. So you see now it's added a dependencies field with Express. So notice that the caret here means you can install 4.17.1 if any of these numbers are updated. When you are installing next time, it will use the updated versions, but it will maintain the 4. I like deleting them, so it installs exactly 4.17.1 in case something happens. We are all on the same version. Okay. So now it's time to create our first file. No, I didn't mean this. Create a new file called index.js. That's where our app will start from, but I will not be initializing ESLint. I will not be initializing the app from here. I like to initialize my server separately, then I will initialize the server from here. It also helps for testing and kind of keep your stuff separately. So the app is it's an app. The server is just a module that the app can run. I'm sure you understand why. Once we get a bit, I don't know, you get a bit there, I guess. So I have a folder called app, which is where the actual server stuff would be. So let's call this server.js. So this is where our hello world will go. Okay. So this line is for you to importing Express library. So the Express library we installed, we just exported it. So initializing Express library. This is called app. I don't like calling it. I mean, it's just a variable. I like calling it server, so I know exactly what it is. Okay. So I use F2 to rename all the instances. So you realize it used to be app. If I just change this to server, now this app is undefined. You get errors. So you have to remember now to come and change all the app. Ain't nobody got time for that. So I use F2 to change to server and to change everything that refers to that app as well, so we don't have to come replace it later. So example app, let's not call it example app, school app that listing on ports. Now port is 3000. This is hard coded. Eventually we use environment variables for this. I'll explain when we get there. So I'll probably leave it like this for now until it starts to become an issue. Then we'll explain why we fixed it. Okay. So this says we've initialized our web server, server.get slash blah 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 blah. So this means when anybody hits the slash endpoint, which is the home endpoint. So let's say if I go to google.com, it's the same as google.com slash. So when we hit the slash, which is the home page, send the person back this text. Right, so we have this bit is called a handler. Right, so this is the handler function for this path. So say if we had a search route, so this would be search. So when somebody hits the search route, do this. As we do it a bit more, it will make a bit more sense. So after all that, we get our server to listen on a certain port. Now I don't do this here. I want my server to only care about setting itself up, which port it's going to listen on, and the server doesn't care. All it knows that me, I'm a server. When you finish, do whatever the hell you want. So I'll do this outside of here in the actual starting point. So the server sets itself up and then exports itself So this says I am done. Now you can take me wherever you want. So now the index guy can also import the server, or can get the server and use it. So now I need to tell it where the server is. So the server is in app, the app directory. So I use one dot because they are the same level, right? If you were inside server and wanted to come get index, you have to go one level out, so that would be 2 dots. So it's now going to the actual folder we are in when you use 2 dots, but we are using one since at the same level. So we are taking it from app and the server file. You can add .js here, but by default it assumes .js, so we don't need to do anything. So we can now have our port here. I like to initialize my constants with people will initialize their constants with capital letters, so you know it's a constant and not meant to change. I'm sure there's something running on 3000 already, so probably from web stuff. So let me use 555. So paste what I copied. So I just formatted the code so it looks nicer. Okay, so now our server is listening on port which will be 555. So we can start our app. Console running node index.js. Alright, I'm not using ES. Wait, this is node 10. Let's see. Let me install a newer version of Node. I installed it. Newer version of Node. so let's see if, nope, still doesn't work. It means this is don't worry, it does not run. Let me use the old. I've used the transparent code for so long. I thought it would just work. So module dot export. Port is not defined. Yes. So you see, this was exactly what I was talking about last time. Initially, it was port like this. Then it would work. But when I wanted to change it to port, I forgot to change everywhere else. So F2 port, and it updates all the places it has to update. So now, if we go to local hosts, which is our PC, and 555, we should get hello world. So this literally returns the string hello world. So let's say we wanted to do some HTML stuff and return that. We could actually manually type that here. So let's make this bold. What do you do bold? We have to restart our server. Now it's bold, so yeah, you get the basic gist. Okay, so this is fine. We'll change a lot of this in the later, so don't worry. User hits home page. Return hello world. Okay, so this is the initialization. We don't really care what it is. We just want the basic structure. Import server module from directory. Start server import. No, that's for this guy. Okay, so I think this is enough code to be its own commit. So let's close the app, clear the server. So git add. This time I want to add everything. I don't want to bother going to add them one by one. So git commit. So our message will be setup basic express server. Okay, nice. The next thing we want to do is set up our modules. So our modules are, well, the server is also a module. I also want to structure it in such a way that each, how would I define it? Each section, each logical section of the app would, be in its own self-contained folder. So let's say we'll be dealing with students, we'll be dealing with we're dealing with students, we're dealing with parents, we're dealing with admins. Now, some of all these are users. Students won't use the app, so the students are an entity in the app, right? So it's something the users of the app will deal with. But parents, admins, and teachers are users. So effectively, the only difference between a parent, an admin, and a teacher is their permissions. So we'll be dealing with students, we'll be dealing with users, we'll be dealing with school. That'll be like the school data. Okay, since this will be for one school, we need to be updating it. So that will be the school data. We'll need academic year, so that we can have like various academic years. We'll have academic year, what again the inside terms. We'll have subjects. I think that's it. Yep, all this is subject to change. So I'll add one module, since I don't want to do like not fully fleshed out modules, all of them, they are later to update. So I usually add one module, make that pull request, someone review, make sure that module makes sense. Then we can like copy paste and edit what we need to edit from that one module. So I'll create the student module, so that will be in its own folder. So that will call students. So since it will be multiple students, but refer to it with the module name, not the duplicates or the plural. So in the student, we'll have an index, another index file here. Sometimes this doesn't work. Okay, let's not confuse everybody. Let's leave this out. So we'll have a model file. That's where we describe the student model, as in how the data looks like. We have the controller file, which is in charge of making database connections, taking data out of the database, blah blah blah. So the model will be in charge of the data, validation, anything that has to do with the shape of the data. The controller will have to do with getting the data out. So let's say, how do we get a student? When we get a student data, do we return everything? Do we remove some things first? Stuff like that. And then there's the handler. I keep alternatively calling it a handler and a router. Okay, we can actually make them separate as well. Do we need to? Because the handler will then use the controller, and then we set up the, you know what, to be more encapsulated. Let's do this maybe as we go on. If it doesn't work, it's okay. So we have model. So this is to do with the shape and validation of data. We have the router, entity, which in this case is a student, base routes. So these are the things that the users will hit, kind of like the /1, that's a route. We have controller connects to, God, I can type, connects to and retrieves data. Uses controller method to compose data. So how I have the handler is there might be some data, let's say I guess you might need to get some from a student, some from this, some from this. So it's nice to have somewhere that does all the gluing together and then returns the data. So the handler will need. So we'll have comments for everybody. Okay. So in order to, let's start with the model. In order to define the model, we need to install Mongoose. So we run Mongoose. And we also need Joy for the validation bit. I think that's about it. Back to the documentation because nobody remembers anything. So Mongoose model definition. So usually I like to remember the things I want to do, then later I can just Google it. Okay, so this is a Mongoose schema definition. This blog has a title which will be a string, it has an author, it has a body, it has comments. So comments is an array of body and date. So this will be like multiple comments. An array is just a list of stuff. Then it has a date. The date type is a bit more, it's an object. So this is what an object looks like in JavaScript. An object is just a collection of data. Yeah, you can Google that as well. So the date has a type of date and has a default of date.now. So if you don't provide a date, you just take the current date and provide it. Blah, 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 blah. So let's copy this and edit it to our benefit. Okay. So I personally don't like semicolons, actually. This I don't like var, const. So we have schema, this is not a blog, this is student schema. We have to initialize the schema somewhere. Are they missing something? Yes. So now this is now student schema. What is our work? We copy paste things and we edit. Okay. So let's go back to our Trello. We had the student definition there, if I remember correctly. Main reacted to something. Yeah, main. Oh, so I've been a bad developer. I should have moved the card I was doing. Well, technically, this is not anything being done yet, so cool. So under development, I'm still doing infrastructure setup. That's nice. Menu has been ticking things off. Oh, main, go main. So nobody said anything about what the students' data should be like. Awesome. Okay. So what do students need? Definitely a name. What is student name? Cat. So name should be a string. Age should be a number. Let's be more specific. So we want more details. We use an object. So subtype string. It is required. So if you are creating a student and don't provide a name in the backend, you throw an error. The age is also a number, also required. We will not store the student's class because the class will change. So no, okay, we will store the class text here. So this would be string ring required. It's also true because we can have a student who doesn't have a class. Later I'll do references where this is my reference, another thing, but that's another thing for another day. For now, I don't think we need pictures. We don't catch that level, and I don't really want to see your child's faces in the house with you. So name, age, class, that should be enough. Because if the class, if you're in class 6, that's it. You don't need to know which year. Yeah, so basic data, we can add all of this maybe when we discuss and realize there's other things to add. So another thing I like to have is these. So next are, so the first is the definition, that's now kind of grayed out. The next one is options. So we can have other options. One I like to add is timestamps. So it keeps track of when the student was created, when their data was edited and all that. It's nice to have. You never know when something changes and want to see when it was changed and all that jazz. We want them to have auto-generated IDs because we are not killers, we're generating our own IDs. I think that's basically it. So what we want our student collection or table to be called, we would like to guess student. And this is a student. In our case here, we don't want to export only the students, so module.export. We want to export model student. Let's rename this to student model. So outside of this code, you just export it as model. Yes, I want the interface for all the models to be the same. So everybody will have model, everybody will have validation. I think that's the two you need. Yes. So now let's go to the documents for Joy.js. That's where we used to do validation. So when somebody sends data from the front end, that will first check if the data is correct before we even try saving it to our database. if we don't use something like Joy, how to do it manually, which nobody has time for. Okay, so you can also have a Joy schema where you indicate what each thing does or each field is. So the same way we said this is required. This is the MongoDB schema. Create MongoDB model. So the model is, the schema is the shape, the model is the parts that interact with the database itself. So this is just shape definition. Okay, then we'll have object validation here. Okay, so we import this. So I like to keep all the exports together at the top of the file, like a sane human being. They call this schema, we'll probably call it validator, validation. So you have the schema does validate. Okay, so we'll have a we just call it validate. Yeah, okay. So I've broken this, no problem. Let's fix it. Okay. So this is our validation schema. Name your objects properly. So we have name, age, class. Those are the things we want to validate. We don't care about all this. Okay. So name is a string. Wonderful autocomplete. It's a string. I was going to say minimum, then I realized people have funny 2-letter word names, so let's not give a minimum and maximum. Let's just say it's required. Age is supposed to be a number. Do we want a minimum or maximum? I mean, you have to be at least 1 year, right? So we don't want people with 0 years. So minimum 1, and it's required. Class will be a string, and yeah, nothing else is required. Okay, so let's delete you guys. Okay. So this is our validation schema. So our validate function would be validation schema dot validate. So validate is a function which takes, as you can see from here, it takes an object then to return you an error. So let's say in this schema they had username has required. So when you pass in evaluate as your username, we return an error saying username is required. And then we return that to the client and be like, yo dude, it's an error in your form. So these are all ideas in my head. Some of them might not work the way I'm thinking, but I guess we'll find out. So yeah, we'll use our validate method. We don't want to validate asynchronously, you want to validate, it doesn't take 4 hours. Okay, so this is our basic model that we'll be following for all the other ones. Yeah, this makes sense, this looks good. Okay, so model is done. Then from the model we go to controller. So the controller is what would actually do the connections. So here will be mainly functions. The basic functions every controller would have. I don't usually like using classes and stuff. I feel it's not very JavaScript. So we have regular functions. So let's do list. So list will take, list doesn't take anything. So this is a function, takes some parameters and returns something. List is to Control D, never mind. List all members. So this is what a student, so list all students. Right, so yeah, we'll take a query. No, let's be very generic with this one. So this will list all students. So we would first of all need the model. Now we could import the student model directly from here. That's the easy way to do it. Or we could inject the model, so you can use, okay, no, actually these ones are kind of tightly coupled, and since we'll be doing tests, let's not confuse anybody. So student model equals require. So we know we have the model, but the model comes with, you see, you have the model and the validate, right? But here we only care about the model, since we'll be doing validation here. The controller assumes whatever I get here is validated, so he doesn't care. So we want to rename the student model so it reads better instead of just model. I'm sure you understand. Okay. So let's make this async because we don't want to be doing them. So students equals await. We do await because it's going to now go to the database, and it might happen in like 2 milliseconds. It might also happen in 20 seconds. So we do await because it's asynchronous. We don't want to continue. We want it to finish before we continue. So student model. Student model find. So find is the method to find students, and you provide it with what it should find, conditions. But since we wanted to find everybody, there are no conditions. And we want it to be objects as plain JavaScript objects, not Mongoose documents, since we are not doing anything with them. Don't worry, you don't need to understand that here. That's, you can always ask me questions. So that's all list does. We find the students, we make sure they are JavaScript documents, and then we return them. Simple. Okay. Some more copy paste. So the next one is to get a specific student by their ID. This might change if Sydney School gives people like index numbers. So we might add that to the student model, then that would be like their ID. So they don't need the underscore ID, but we'll see when Mr. Sydney tells us. So this would be get by ID, where we pass in set ID as a parameter. So in this instance, I am assuming the underscore ID. So this one is automatically generated by MongoDB to make sure each student is unique. So this I want to find one. So it will definitely be one student we get. So this is a student, not student. And then we'll find that. And there's how else we want to get. So get students by name. So you pass in the name. There might be multiple students with the name. And this would be a regular expression search. Which I know it is regex. Then the field we went to search by Mongo regex search this one. Do I really have to? I thought we just do the regular regex string stuff. Oh, it's filled before regex? Oh shit. So my syntax was even wrong. Okay, we are not doing regex the body the field. We have name here. And since we are against this, we will use I forgot what these things are called. Template literals. This is weird. This is correct. This looks weird. Where is this? Okay. It's time to go back to full screen. Okay. So I'm done. Okay, so this says from our student model, which is connected to the database, which I haven't done and I have to do. Find, stop barking. Find any student who has the name this caret thing means starts with. So the name starts with whatever string requires. So if we type in Kweku, if your name is actually Kweku, your name would start with Kweku. If we type in KWA, if your name is KWA, find Kweku, Kwame, and all those people. So yeah, we are looking for it and any part of the string. I'm not sure if there's any part of where it starts with. Don't quote me on that. And the I is supposed to be for case insensitive. I don't trust this regular expression, but we'll see how it goes when we start running it. So yeah, and I replaced the find one with find because now find multiple students. So let me do students. So this will no longer be get. So list. So whenever it says get, you know it's one. Whenever it says list, you know it's multiple. So we are listing everybody, we are getting everybody by ID, we are listing people by name. It's dangerous to get people by name because no matter what you do, two people can have the same name. So there's no point in saying get somebody by a specific name. So we can also get, so list students by name. List students in a class. So this will not be find one, because there will be multiple students in a class. You know. So here we use a shortcut because we run class, which is kind of stupid. So we will do class. So we do the class implicitly. So this is also students once again. Okay. See how nice. This is very simple. So you know when we come to controllers, they just do getting stuff. There might be times when I want to change other things. Like for the users, for instance, the user model will have, let's say, their password. So we need to remove the password before sending it back to the user so nobody gets to see. Or it'll be hashed anyway, but you get the drift. Okay, so I think we have an okay controller. We can obviously add more things as we go. So we have a model, we have a controller. Now we need the handler. So the handler is the one that will take care of validation and all those stuff before returning the method. Oh, I actually made a big mistake. Since we are using await, we should use try catch here. Actually, no. We could have handled the errors in the handler. Yeah. Okay. So let's have. So mostly the handler functions initially. We start out mirroring the controller functions, so let me be lazy. But sometimes, mostly there will be more things here than the controller, because we might want to list all students in a class who are below a certain age or something. So do that composition here if we can't do it directly in the controller. So list all students in the class. Since I'm going to use the controller and not the model. Do we export the controller? No, we did not. Module.export. So we could have had functions here that we use in other functions that we do not want to export. In this case, we are exporting everybody. So list get by ID, list by name. Oh, I did get by ID twice. List by class. Okay. See, the perils of copy paste. I have to come and fix that when you copy. Damn it. So I'm teaching you people how to be lazy. Should I? It's okay. So you can import them all. There are only 4 of them, right? Yeah. So if you want, oh, I didn't do create. Nobody said. Nobody didn't tell me. Okay. So here we do. This is list. So this is list. This is get by ID or passing the ID. So here we do try. So try means we don't know what happened here. Something might go wrong, but you try it. If something goes wrong, we catch the error and we do something with it. So right now we log it, so you can see it in our console, and then we throw that error. So you can either handle an error or you throw an error. So in this case we log it so we can see on the console what happened, but this class is not responsible for dealing with the error, so it will just throw it for whoever calls it to deal with it. So our router would call it, and our router will be responsible for dealing with the error. Yes, makes a lot of sense. Now it's copy paste time. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to try. So if ID does not exist, so if not ID is the same as saying if ID equals null or ID equals undefined or ID equals empty string. So I'm just checking for falsy values, so you can Google what falsy values are. So basically, null, undefined, empty, array, that's what them are falsy values. If you start JavaScript, one of the first things you would learn is that check for falsy values. So if there's no ID, it means there's no ID for us to get by. So we throw new error. Yeah. So error, I need a message. So ID must have a value. Right. So when we throw it from here, this guy will catch it first, log it, and then throw it again. So our router will then catch it and send an error message to the client. We'll set that up as well. Probably not today, time to go, I get job due. So okay, let's speed through this now. List by students. List by name, sorry. So here we check if there's no name. Name must have a value. List by if you hover, it writes the thing we wrote in the other place here. A small description, that's why I was writing it, so I don't have to go back to see what I was supposed to do again. So list by name, this is now students. Okay. Yes. The last one is list by class. Class. I break something. Okay. So if you don't provide a class value, you must. Okay, now we have handler functions. Next is the router. So for router we need express again. So same as we have in the server file. The server is a big router. Okay. So let's do the handlers. Why is router apply? Okay, we have to give that a place now function. That options. Straight merge params interesting. Okay. So there are how many HTTP verbs are there? There's get, post, put, patch, delete. I think there's options as well. So get is when you make a regular request like within the browser, that's a get. Then there's the ones where you send data. So there's to send data you can use post, usually that's for creating data. Then put is for updating data. That would put, let's say if you want to update the student, you send a new student object, so a new object that might have maybe a new name, a new age, but send the whole object. But patch, you can just send the one thing that has changed, so maybe you changed only the name. Then there is delete, which we use. It's kind of like get, it's just that we use that one to delete stuff. Just conventions to follow so people understand. If I say a delete, I know it's going to delete something or make something inactive. Then there's options where the browser usually does that one first to kind of ask questions, can I make the request, blah 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 blah. So for students, when we hit the regular route, so this would be something like students / we don't want to get all the students. So we have access to the request and the response. So in this function, we need the handler as well, which I did not export. I can actually copy the controller one since it's the same thing. Copy paste is wonderful. Wonderful, just wonderful. Okay. Require. It seems that a lot of duplicate code for no reason, but hopefully it will make sense as we go along. So we want list. So for the normal request, we don't really get anything again. So students equals await. So this now has to be asynchronous. Await list students. Then return. We don't need to return really, but bear with me. So now we are returning as JSON. JSON is JavaScript object notation. Google that one as well. So this will return the data as send students as data. We send an object with the key data, and that have students. I like to have data, so In our front end, we can always expect whichever data it is to be in a key data, which makes the programming a bit more straightforward. Okay, so then we have another get, but that's by ID. So put colon ID here. So that means this part of the URL can change. So add in different IDs, kind of like the way they added Travis in the beginning. So you add different IDs based on like the student one. So if I want student ID 00111, it will be students like 00111, which will get that particular student, which is from this method. And pass in the ID. That's where is the ID. So the ID will come from the URL. From the parameters in the URL. So we get the ID, we get the student, then we send it along. Someone would ask, what if there wasn't a UID? There wasn't an ID. If there's no ID here, it will come and run this one. Since they become just the slash, it becomes student slash, nothing. Right. What else was there? List by class and list by name. So list is also a get, since we are just getting data. So I want to list by class. So this will be student slash. Now, if you can't have two, there are two endpoints that with the same browser, it will always pick the first one. So if I have this slash and this slash, when the requests happen, it will go through them one after the other. So as soon as it finds a match, it'll run this one and this one never get run. So you want to do student, this is for list by class. So student slash class slash class ID. This can be anything, just a standing. I didn't want to use ID again, so it's kind of makes sense which of the IDs we want this to be. So this is the class ID. This by class. So this will be students plural. Do the same for this by name. That's basically it. I have to add the create. Once we agree on the whether we are adding the next server. Oh, sorry. We'll do that as well. I think the one thing different from the create would be a post. Okay, we get the data, then pass it along to the handler. The handler would validate that the data has everything it has. If not, it will throw. So I'll add in the next one. The next code I'll do will be to add the error handler. Okay, I'll add that in the readme as to do's. So we have our handler, have our router. Let's export our router so other components can use this. Okay, so now in our index, the index is in charge of setting up the routers as well. So we'll import the student router. What's my name? Student router. That's an app student router. It makes, when you read it, reads nicely. So we want the server to use the student router. I want it to everything slash student to go to the student router. So first you give it a path. So students. No. Okay, so there's path, then there's handlers. So you can give multiple handlers. The handler is the router in this case. So student router. So that's basically it for today. Okay. So starting with okay. Let's start our server and see if we haven't broken anything. Identifier list has already been declared in student handler. Student handler 9. Oh fuck yeah, they already fully have been declared. Okay. Rookie mistake, guys. So this will be called student controller. So we are doing student controller dot here. Unexpected token class. Why are you unexpected? Okay, class is a reserved word in JavaScript, so you thought we were creating a JavaScript class, so yeah, that's why it's not even allowing me to rename it. So let's say it's supposed to be the class ID anyway. So this will probably have thrown an error as well. Is that what I did in the model? Class, okay, work here since it's JSON. Let's name it correctly there as well, so we know what is what. Okay. Cannot find the happy joy. Oh, I didn't install joy. I thought I did. Yeah, so I've installed some fake joy. Yarn remove fake joy. Yeah, install. Okay, now app still runs. Okay, so now to commit. This is the student router. Okay, so let's make some other commits. So this is the same as when they get add and type in the message, but much faster. Add Happy Express Mongoose. Okay, so my branch is complete, but it's not ready to be pushed yet. So the things I have left to do, so I'll write them here, check them off as I do them. Connect to Mongoose. So all of that is getting data. So you have to create a student to we delete students or make them inactive. That's all. Add updates. Students test all routes. Okay, so next time that's what I will do. Add the controllers and handler methods for this. Then we will actually use Postman to test our REST API, make sure everything works. Then I will open my pull requests for Menu to review. So yeah, this has been quite a long video. I hope it makes sense, and I'll be looking forward to any questions.